You're listening to Grassroots Community's What Really Matters podcast. My name is Ben Carpenter, and we'll be talking with young people across Bristol about what really matters to them. Also, we'll be talking with adults in communities with lived experience and professionals like youth workers about what it's like for young people growing up in our city today. On today's show, I've met up with 23-year-old Max Bale from Knoll to talk about what really matters to him. Hello, Max.
Hi Ben, how's it going?
Long time no see. How did we first meet? Can you remember how we first met?
The allotments near the park in the west.
Yeah.
On like an adult volunteering. Oh no, it was before that.
It was before that, wasn't it? Because you
NCS it was.
That was right. Because what did you end up? You went off somewhere with NCS, didn't you? And you had to do some kind of volunteering to link into what you've done. Do you want to explain about it? You've done NCS, didn't you? Yeah. In South Bristol. And then you went off, you went and done the international one, didn't you?
Yeah. So 2015, I think it was, did the normal, like the NCS one. That was a 4-week program. And then a month after that, I did a same thing, but a team leader role. And then a year or two after that, I did ICS, which is an international program. We went to Nepal for 3 months. And we did a similar thing, but it was more helping out a local community that had been suffering from earthquakes and stuff like that. So we were helping like them rebuild their houses and giving the kids like English lessons and stuff like that. That was, I think, 3 years ago.
So you must have come back. That was right. So you come back from that, and then you had to do some kind of volunteering to add to hours. Add some extra hours to doing stuff in your own community, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the original one, yeah. And then that's, I think, when I met you at the allotments.
Yeah.
And we did a program together.
Yeah, so that, I mean, it's a while ago now. So yeah, I mean, just because other people listening are probably like, what are they on about?
I'm trying to rejog my memory as well.
I used to work for Youth Moves a while ago, or quite a while ago, to be honest with you. And we built a roundhouse in Knoll West with young people. And then based on that programme, it was obvious there was loads of adults that were interested in getting involved for various reasons, or there was a need for them getting involved. And then we had an adult day, didn't we? And then you were coming along for that.
Yeah, that's right.
You volunteered a little bit for the youth groups as well. But was it that trip to Nepal that got you into environmental stuff then? Were you into that before?
Yeah, as an interest, not really as a career decision. So after ICS, I actually went to university to study criminology, which is a totally, different type of field to environmental concerns. But then in learning more about environmental crime and everything that sort of goes on within that, I started to become more aware of the environmental issues and decided I wanted to go into that sector more. Whether that's sustainability or wildlife conservation, it didn't really matter to me, just something to get involved more. So then after leaving university, I was looking for jobs to do with wildlife conservation, renewable energy, anything that I could really get my foot in the door. I applied for like probably hundreds of applications at this point. This is like going on the past 2 years now. Obviously leaving university during a pandemic wasn't the best start either, which is, it's a tough year for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And I had a couple of interviews, maybe 5 in total, but the general consensus from all of them was that I didn't have enough occupational experience, which is kind of a taboo almost, because I was applying for these roles to gain experience. It was assistant type roles, and it wasn't senior positions and stuff like that.
It's
So yeah,
difficult, right? I mean, I'll put it in that. Put it in there. We'll talk about basically whatever you want to talk about, but we'll go on to it a bit more in a bit. But my experience of you coming along and helping at the Roundhouse, you were very hands-on. You helped. We built the outdoor kitchen area and built various things, and then you got into the growing side of things. Committed. You soak things up. You then go off and learn about it. You're a self kind of starter. Do you know what I mean? You're not directed towards things. You wanting to do different stuff.
yeah.
And I can imagine internships. Yeah, they're looking for people with previous experience. But you're right. How do you get that experience? Now, I mean, I'm going to chuck it out there. There ain't that many people that are coming from Knoll West that are going into that kind of work.
Right. Yeah.
As in environmental work. And I guess there's probably not that many people that are coming from Knoll West that are doing a degree and then really, thinking that this is a passion based on their experiences and what they've studied and learned. So you're exactly the person that should be given the opportunity, no different to anyone else, but given the opportunity to kind of build on what you've already learned. I mean, is it worth saying a little bit, what was it like growing up in your community and what was the challenges and the positives that you faced growing up?
Positives, obviously, being in a major city, there was lots to do, lots of things to see, and you're never bored as if like you were living in a village somewhere where there's not a lot going on, not a lot of public transport, etc. Some of the challenges, like you said, is probably trying to break out of the stereotype that's in your area. Because a lot of people I grew up with, a lot of people I know, sort of just go into like a trade in construction industry and stuff like that. And it's not that I look down on those type of people, because a lot of those type of people are my friends, but it's just wanting something else. I didn't want to just follow what everyone else is doing and just do that. So kind of like really thinking about what you want to do and where you want to go and trying to pursue that. So that was one big challenge.
Are you still living in Knoll now?
Yeah.
You living at home?
Yeah, so I had to move back after university because I didn't have the money to live by myself. Because obviously throughout the past year or so, I haven't really had a sustainable job. So I've been working different jobs for 3 months here, 3 months there, 6 months sometimes.
What kind of jobs have you been doing?
Literally anything. So I was mainly applying for environmental roles. Wasn't getting much luck with that. So I was applying for just minimum wage, whether it be temporary contracts for 2 months or stuff like construction, warehouse jobs, desk jobs, administrative jobs. Right now, I'm in a administrative role for a construction company, so kind of going with the flow in a sense. But I think that's until June or maybe August. And obviously, working a full-time job, you everything else takes a back seat in terms of looking for.
Well, how are you going to get the experience? So, based on what you said earlier on, if you've been knocked back by X amount of applications for different environmental-based opportunities, and the feedback is clear that you need to have more hands-on experience, how do you get that experience when you have to work? Do you know what I mean? This is it. Let's put it out there. Put the question out there. This is going slightly off track, but why not? Why not? It's true. If you think of it, internships in the arts and things like that, it's known, the stereotype is that people will probably be more able to get involved in those kind of opportunities if they're more comfortable financially, because they wouldn't have to earn money to live in the same kind of way as someone from backgrounds where there's less money around. So it's how do you get those opportunities? Have you given it any thought? Because I think this needs to be a shout out, and we are going to send this to every environmental organisation in the city, because there's no harm in actually having those conversations direct with them, What is it that you can do to get you up that pile to get that opportunity? I know I work with you in community-based, nature-based programs, and you've been absolutely amazing. So I absolutely know there's going to be opportunity out there, but it's how we maybe kind of get it. So you're getting looked at, and you're even getting to talk to people face to face and work out what it is that you need to do to get the opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about a lot of different ways I can kind of gain experience or sort of equip more to my tool set, if that makes sense. So one thing I was looking at when I was looking for jobs was volunteering. So I've done a bit here and there, but then the thing is that most volunteering is done on a weekday at, say, 2 p.m. or 11 a.m. So obviously, if you're working a full-time job, it's difficult to make those arrangements. And then obviously because of COVID, there was a few places near me that weren't taking any volunteers because of spread of the virus and whatnot. I did make my own website based on just climate change issues. So when I left university, just to like sort of jog my own memory and kind of get clued in with what's going on and gain some more experience. I haven't posted anything on there in a few months because I've obviously been working and whatnot. But that was another thing I did, it covered a range of different topics from like just small lifestyle choices you can make to big global issues that are going on and happening, currently. But I mean, it goes for really any kind of industry you're trying to get into. Is just trying to soak up all the knowledge you can and be around certain people and certain events, which I think is the big thing. But
you will soak it up.
Yeah,
I've seen it and experienced it. You need the opportunity. That's the thing. I mean, I wonder. There's things that you would have spoke about on your blog. Do you feel you have your voice heard? Like whether that be at home, whether that be out and about with friends in the community in the wider city.
Definitely locally, in terms of people around me, people that care about me and whatnot. But I feel like as soon as you try and branch out to wider audiences, it's very difficult, especially with the amount of noise with social media. There's so much traffic on different social media websites. There's so much traffic on news daily. Like you look at, say, I know it's a bit of an extreme example, but take the BBC News. They take obviously a national or global news website. They post constantly all day, every day, along with like Telegraph, Daily Mail. And then as you kind of look further and further down, you've got all these other smaller news websites, social media influencers, social media platforms. So to be able to get your voice heard by more than just people that are around you is quite difficult, I'd say. It can be done. It's not impossible, obviously, but it takes a lot of effort and sort of marketing to get your voice heard.
I mean, you're talking a lot about social media, and I guess that aligns with blogs and what you were saying that you were doing. And I guess when you were talking more locally, you were talking about your friends. But I mean, is there anything that people out there, anyone that might be listening to this, is there things that people could help with to get your voice heard? The things you're talking about with regards to environmental issues, things that are going on, because when you come back out of uni, that's how we reconnected again, wasn't it? We started doing that. You were volunteering to film this Conversations in Nature, and we were just talking to local people, weren't we?
Yeah,
really,
that's right.
About what it is that kind of matter to them. It's very similar to this, to be honest with you. And it was interesting. The feedback I got from local people is that it was how we kind of hoped, that they're more likely to take on board these different simple things that make a difference in their lives, whether it be around nature or other things, if it comes from someone that's walked in the same shoes, is from a similar community, sounds similar, and then you amplify that voice. But you're right, like to then go above that kind of local movement and start trying to kind of break into anything bigger than that. I mean, you're talking to the wrong person. I got no idea how to do it, but there might be people that listen to this that might want to look at your blog and might be able to support you to get that out there. I mean, do you know what the link is for your?
So it's Care for the Climate.
Care for the Climate.
Yeah.
So if you put that into Google.
Yeah, so CareFortheclimate.com.
Okay. You best be writing a new one then, sharpish, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not, like I work with young people all the time, as you know, and I can probably count on very few fingers how many people particularly from, if you're looking at South Bristol, from say Knoll, Outcliffe or whatever, that has got an absolute passion to kind of push on and has got a thirst for learning more and more about climate change and wants to spread that word. There's many people that are practically kind of supported with different things like practical creative stuff, building roundhouses, stuff like that. But it's pretty obvious that, you want to get involved in things that make a difference. And it involves, I guess, an opportunity. But if I said to you, what are the things that really matter to you? Because this is what this is all about, really. It's just a platform for you to be able to, and young people to be able to talk about things that matter to them. What are those things that really, really matter to you?
So obviously one would be environmental issues. And don't get me wrong, I don't see it as if I'm one man that's going to save the world from some sort of impending doom, which is inevitable, It's
got to start somewhere.
I'm not going to instigate it, but just to do my part in what I can, in my little corner of the world, in a sense, is enough for me. So definitely environmental issues. To be honest, I'm the type of person that tends not to worry too much about things beyond their control, as contradicting that might sound. It's definitely a concern of mine, but it's not something that I'm going to lose sleep over, if that makes sense. Other things that would matter to me, obviously family and community, and sort of meeting new people and branching out from your comfort zone, as difficult as that might be, sometimes is definitely an important lesson for life.
Do you still, so you're living back at home in Knoll, do you still hang out with mates from school you went to school with?
Yeah. A few people here and there, a few people I've met like in the past few years, and like whoever really, like sometimes I meet people that I've met like the past few months through different things like work and different activities I've been doing.
It's interesting. I mean, a lot of this stuff will feed in probably to lots of different conversations we have with different people, and to be honest, it's probably the same for everyone. Like having a connection with different people, you're more likely to get opportunities. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world. And it's not about how you manufacture those connections, because I mean, again, I don't really know too much about it other than it's a thing. And it's like those connections of people that might be involved within the environmental world, within Bristol or whatever, and different like clubs or projects and things that happen. That's the way you find out about those opportunities. And I guess that's the thing. It's like I used to say to you before, like when you're somewhere and you're volunteering and you do whatever you do and you're doing it well and you're a key part of that particular project and people respect you, then when those paid opportunities come up, people would far rather give that opportunity to that person than then go and advertise for someone else that they don't know what they're capable of.
Yeah.
Because why not? But then the difficult part of that comes, like you said, you've got to be out earning, and then to then do the volunteering alongside that is difficult. But it feels
Yeah.
like that's the shout out, isn't it? If there's any shout out to come from this, what would it be? In your words, what would you, if you could, something could happen from this conversation? Not that it needs to, if you don't want it to, but what would be your ask? What would be your want?
In terms of the occupational role, or
Anything. What matters to you?
that's quite a big question.
I'm glad I put you on the spot.
I guess just to give someone the opportunity, regardless of what prejudice you might have,
When you say about prejudice, what do you think might be the prejudice?
I guess it depends on the person, really. They from past experiences or people they hang around with, they might have a built-up stereotype in their head that, this type of person, or this person looks like this type of person, or from first impressions, like people put people in boxes.
Do you think you've been put in a box then? What?
No, not really. Obviously, people will and do, but it's more of just not having the right experience, trying to find the right experience wherever that may be, trying to get into contact with the right people to get that experience. And yeah, I
Well, I don't know, though, Max. I think let's say it. If you're putting an application for whatever it might be, and your address comes up with null, then people are going to have a stereotype, aren't they, of
Yeah,
where people
definitely.
come from. Like unconscious bias runs into everything that everyone does, whether that be around ethnicities, whether that be around where you live, whether that be sexuality, whatever it may be. Like we all have it, those things, So maybe there is something in that. I don't know.
There used to be a thing at school where, because your postcode started with BS4, you weren't gonna, you weren't gonna get anywhere basically. There are people. I remember one person was applying for Oxford University, and it was sort of like scoffed at in a sense, which is a weird mentality to have. But I guess it's why try when you know you're going to fail? Is that sort of negative mentality that sort of permeates places like where I grew up.
And do you think that's what? But this is what I mean. You stand out as someone trying to do something within like a sector that isn't necessarily a normal thing, and it should be normal. Why isn't it normal? But it isn't. There's not a tradition of loads of environmental things going on. More so now, like there's quite a lot of things popping up in different places, like some great organisations that are doing environmental stuff, Heart of BS13, different people. But there's still not locally a massive tradition of young people getting involved in those sectors or seeing a pathway to get involved in those sectors. Now you're actively trying to do it now. Do you know what I mean? And it's how we can create an opportunity for someone like yourself, which would then mean that other people can see that it is realistic. It's no different when people talk about, for example, someone being in a certain profession. I don't know. Let's just say being a solicitor. If you're a young person growing up from different parts of the city, different cultures, different backgrounds, and you don't see people that are mirror images of yourself in those different positions, it's not going to make you believe that it's possible for you. And it's exactly the same. If people don't sound like you and look like you and come from your background and get into those roles, why are people going to think that it happens? You just said a minute ago, didn't you, that you put BS4 on your flipping, on your application. I mean, even that conversation, as kids thinking that, is straight, already you think you're lost, don't you? Before you start, but you're still persevering. How many applications do you reckon you put in?
Over the past, say, 2 years, roughly, it's probably in the hundreds, to be honest. Because, every day, go on like a handful of different websites, phone calls and whatnot, probably apply for roughly 20 jobs a day or something around that number. I think I got roughly 5 or maybe 6 interviews. The latest one I had was I got this job in the job I'm working now. I got it in January. A couple of weeks before I got the job, I had an interview for Acer Ecology. So they're like Bristol, Cardiff based, but they work more with like environmental surveys for preliminary construction phases. So before you build a building, they go there, do a survey to make sure no habitats or protected species are being disturbed, and then they do an examination. They use like a formula and a calculation to predict how much of the habitat is going to be lost once that building's been constructed, and how you can sort of rewild the area or integrate a green plan in with the construction phase. But I had the interview with the guy, and he was running through some questions, and it was kind of obvious that I didn't have the experience I needed to get the job. So I asked him, are there any roles, or because the thing is
would you be happy to go into an apprenticeship?
Yeah, and I've looked, but again, is the pay and having to make sacrifices, and I can probably do one now that I've got a driving license. It's easier to get to different places, because before.
But this is another point worth making, isn't it? It's like this is half the issue. Parts of South Bristol, really, it is difficult to get elsewhere. If those opportunities are so suddenly in South Gloucestershire or whatever, if you don't have transport, it's very difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like it's probably just my own personal mistake or life choices, but when you're 17 and you're asked to pick a degree to go to university and study, and then pursue that for the rest of your life for the next 40 years, it's quite a misinformed decision to make it 17, 18. Because I look at like my brother, for example. He didn't go to university, he did an apprenticeship. He's still with that company now, but he's employed by them full time, and he's got a decent amount of money saved up, and some prospects, which I'm happy for. I'm not bitter, like I don't have that type of perception, but I've met a lot of people that go to university to do something, or study philosophy, or classical music, or something which they've realized afterward is very competitive and not really applicable to what they actually want to do, or they just did it as an interest, and now they're doing some other job which is totally unrelated to what they studied. And for me, I wouldn't want to have to go back to university to do another 3 years plus the extra student debt on top. So something like an apprenticeship, or an entry-level role which would gain me the experience to then go into that field, is sort of the only but probably most ideal option.
It's interesting what you just said then, because the irony of all this, I mean, up until very recently, the least amount of people in the flipping whole country went to university from South Bristol. Not like the whole country, and the fact that you've gone on to do that. But it sounds like you kind of like you made those decisions to do what you wanted to do. Do you think that people should leave it till later in life? I don't know. I don't know what the answers are, but the interesting is you broke the norm of people going to do that, and it sounds like maybe you're kind of second guessing whether it was the right thing for you. But you don't know unless you try, do you?
Exactly,
So you've done a good thing, and the thing is, you've proved that you can commit and you can pass something which is, it takes a certain level of skill and intelligence, which is going to be applicable to lots of different professions. And then I guess the only thing is then is looking like the references of other people. And I am giving you the 100% reference. Not that it matters what I say, but you're solid. This is what I don't this is why if something comes from this, if people can contact, get in touch with grassroots communities or Max Bale via LinkedIn or us through social media, just any kind of environmental based opportunities that we can put to Max, and he can talk to you, because I seriously, like, I'm looking at you now, and I know your brother as well, and I'm thinking to myself, it's like, this is someone that's broke the norm, that's done a degree, done well, come back, wants to do the right thing in something which is going to impact on us all. Let's be honest, the environment and the situation that's going on then, it's not normally kind of people from, certain communities in the city where people's voices are heard on that subject. You are absolutely a person that deserves that opportunity. And to sit here, hear you kind of questioning about what you've done, it's not, I wouldn't say it's heartbreaking. I'm not going to start crying on the new microphone. But you know what I mean? It is. Yeah. It's painful, because you've been doing brilliant, given the opportunity somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that.
We'd appreciate it more if someone comes up with an opportunity, wouldn't we?
But it's just, like you said before, it's just opportunity, trying to get in front of the right people and talk to the right person. And it's also, like you said, it's like knowing people that are kind of clued into what's going on around them. Because I've looked, there's only so much kind of research you can do on the internet in terms of events and stuff going on a surface level. Whereas, you might know someone that is in connection with certain people, and this event's going on here, but is not on social media, or is not on, they don't have a website, say, or something like that. It's trying to get your foot in the door in a sense.
So I guess based on everything you said, the ask is job opportunity, projects around the environment, that there's an opportunity where you can do, you can get involved at outside work time hours. So what so you're talking evenings, weekends?
Yeah, literally anything. If someone's got a project that they need help with, or an idea, or maybe even they want to write a post about something and for me to put it on my website, or they want to co-write something together, anything to get involved and to get people talking, really. But also I am looking for an opportunity as well if it does come by. I'm not just looking for employment. It's more of getting involved with the whole movement, more than just protesting in front of cars at Bristol Bridge. I want to do more than just wave a flag around for an evening.
Yeah, well, no, it's inspirational to hear that, especially like seeing the distance travelled. So there's another shout out to other young people or adults, whatever, other people that are interested in that kind of thing, to get in touch with you, and we can kind of pass on your details with regards to the writing of stuff. I swear I seen something the other day where there's something that's just started in, again, it was Heart of BS13, Green Influencers, I think it was called. But there's going to be loads of people out there, and I think that, to be honest, that is the steps you're going to have to take. You hear about things from being surrounded by people that are involved in that world, and you've got an interest, but you're not around people that have that interest, and it's those connections that are going to be absolute key. So let's hope some of those connections might reach out and get involved and get in touch with us, and we can line you up, because it'd be great to see you move on and do what you're really passionate about and make a difference to others in the process.
It's like I've been just past couple months started producing my own music, or like learning how to produce my own music through like software and stuff like that. And it's trying to get to know people who can just not even help me, but just someone to talk to about. Because you talk to someone that don't really, like some of my friends don't have a clue.
What kind of music is it?
Like hip hop music, mainly, like lo-fi hip hop, or just standard like hip hop. And it's just wanting to talk to more people like about it, like something you're passionate about, and just bouncing ideas off each other, and is quite rare to find, I think. Because that's the hardest thing, is to bring a group of people together with a common interest. That's why I like what we did at the allotments a few years back, because it was a group of people that all shared a common interest and a common goal, and it was sort of sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Well, no, it's powerful, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
When you're
exactly.
around like-minded people that care about a certain thing, that are driven, then that's infectious.
Yeah.
And it builds momentum, and it feels like you're getting somewhere, and you learn from those other people, and it's fun and enjoyable. It's all the things that really humans
They need almost,
don't they?
You're exactly right. So just trying to find that network almost.
So there's another shout out. There's the shout outs are coming from every angle about people that are involved in music, that especially hip hop, that would be up for talking about, sharing ideas of how to make music. I mean, there's definitely people. There's people from your community. There's someone that we're trying to get involved in the street party stuff. We're going to be doing. We're on about doing. You're going to love this. We're on about doing a community-led rave on Newquay Road out of our wheelie bin sound system.
Oh my God, right.
with young people. But there's people like DJ Crust that hopefully he started Full Cycle with drum and bass movement.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Who's saying that he'd be up to being involved. But I mean, like, they were at the beginning of the scene and really like adapting what was hip hop over in the States to, I mean, people go on about trip hop, but whatever. Basically, it's different kind of
like subgenres of it.
Yeah, well, they'd done something different. They made their version of what they were seeing that was going on in the States at the time, when hip hop, was fairly new.
Yeah.
And from that, they started their own thing, and that was it. It was surrounding themselves by people, with people that had a common interest, and just to experiment and try new things.
Yeah, definitely. It does get the ball rolling a lot easier than just sort of rattling around in your own head, and eventually you lose motivation or just get distracted by other things, or you're working, for example.
Well, don't lose that motivation.
No.
And don't. I mean, this is the thing. I go on all the time about all this kind of stuff, but it is the thing. Working with young people a lot, and I think it's no different for most adults as well. And we forget about it over time. Don't worry about failing. Like, I know it's you've got to earn enough to survive and all the rest of it, but don't worry about failing. And that's it. If you're around the right people, you'll have that culture where it doesn't matter if things don't go right or wrong, because you learn more from when it don't go right. And it's got to be the same with making music. Like, to say it is no different to kind of getting involved in environmental projects or anything else. It's being able to try and keep that momentum going. But if you can surround yourself by other people that have those interests, then hopefully it keeps you,
Yeah, definitely.
up for the challenge, up for the battle. That's it. Environmental music opportunities. Someone's got to have something to share. Yeah. Let's hope so. Cool. Thanks for listening to What Really Matters podcast. If you're a young person and interested in having your voices heard and sharing those opinions, please do get in touch, because this is a platform for you.